not going to be able to hear me at all. Good to see all of you. We're in James chapter 2. And let's continue our thoughts from last week, but let's shift gears. It sounds strange, but that's what we're going to do. There is another group of people that were they to walk into a Jewish congregation probably would have received the same kind of reception that some poor person would have received having walked into a Jewish congregation. And that would be the Gentiles. Oh, if the Gentiles had come into one of these primary Jewish congregations, it would have been aghast and, well, you go sit over there or you go sit in the floor because we really don't want to associate with you. Now, let's realize this is one of the early books. And there was a great deal of interaction between Christians and Jews. There would have been Christians going to the synagogues to try to encourage the Jews. Now, there are people who argue that Christians actually did their worship in synagogues. The only thing I see in the New Testament talking about Christian worship indicates they were in homes. Now, some of these Jewish Christians may be meeting in the synagogues, but as far as Gentile Christians go, the Gentile Christians would have primarily been meeting in homes, not in the synagogue. Now, the longer Christianity goes, the less interaction there is going to be. And after AD 70 and the destruction of Jerusalem, there is virtually no interaction whatsoever. Very few Jews will be won to Christ. The church will become way dominantly Gentile. So, James is saying, don't have partiality. If people come to your assembly, accept them. Accept them. Think about the different people Jesus ran into. I mean, there would have been people that Jesus came across that folks in his day would have gone, ugh. I mean, think about the fact Jesus touched a leper. That person had probably not had a human touch since they had contracted that disease. And yet Jesus touched him. A man that had been lame since he was 40 years old. I mean, lame 40 years. Lame since he was born. You think he was nice and clean and spotless and smelled lovely? I don't think so. And yet Jesus had time for him. And so, as Christians, how can we win other people to Christ if we totally disdain them? How can we encourage visitors to become Christians if when they walk in we go, ew? Okay, Sue, I don't know if you've met this young man, but Chris knows him well. When Chris went with me to Cuba, of course, we did a Cienfuego youth thing, and there was a young man from Cumaniyagua that came. This was the first time this young man had ever come out in public. He had cancer splotches all over his face. I mean, it was actually grotesque looking. And you know what? Those kids accepted him like he was the fine, and you know, he was disfigured in other ways. Those kids accepted him like he was one of the finest looking people on earth. I was told his mother literally cried that he was accepted. And every trip we go, if he's not able to come out and worship, I make sure that I get by the house to visit with him. Every trip. Do I like looking at him? No. But does he look like that to God? And you know, we started talking about looking through God's eyes. So let's try to do that. That's what James is telling these haughty Jews. You know, they still have the idea we're the chosen people. No, Christians are the chosen people now. Okay, let's drop down to verse 8. If, however, you are fulfilling the royal law according to the Scripture, you should love your neighbor as yourself. You're doing well. Okay, remember Jesus is confronted by a lawyer. What is the great command? We sing a song about it. You love God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul. And here's this royal law that James is talking about. Jesus went on to say, you love your neighbor as yourself. And he's going to tell us who the neighbor is. The neighbor is whoever needs it. It's not the person next door. He told the story of a Samaritan whom the Jews despise, actually worse than Gentiles, helping a Jewish person that the Jewish leadership ignored. So there's your account. So James, undoubtedly knowing the teaching of Jesus, has a reference back to that. All right, Jews, think back to what Jesus taught. Think back to what Jesus said. That Samaritan took care of that fellow. He fulfilled the royal law. That Samaritan you despise. Do better. And maybe that's a challenge to all of us. Let's do better. Let's be better than the world. The world may want to put up these artificial barriers. Let's don't. Now, pat on the back for Tim. In my 32-year tenure here, we have not done that. Yay us. We don't do that. We've had couples that were mixed racially married, accepted just fine. Part of the congregation, loved, appreciated, accepted, and so on. And that's the way God's people must be. Opening, welcoming, accepting when people become Christians, even if they're radically different from us. Then he goes back to his point. But if you show partiality, you are committing sin and are convicted by the law as transgressors. Now, I think the law here is not our royal law. I think he's talking here about the law of Moses. And I'll explain that a little more in the next verse. He says, for whoever keeps the whole law and yet stumbles in one point, he's become guilty of all. That was the catch-22 to the law of Moses. Now, if you could keep the whole law, only one person ever did that. They crucified him. So, James is stating a total impossibility here. But he's saying if you could keep the whole law and yet you violated one of those 632 commandments, you're guilty of the whole thing. You know, Paul's going to say something similar to that in Galatians chapter 5 and verse 3. Now, the problem's a little different, but in Galatians 5, the Judaizers are trying to enforce you've got to go under the law, Gentiles, if you're going to be a Christian. And Paul just tells these Gentiles that are leaning that way, if you're circumcised, you've got to keep the whole law of Moses. Pardon my French, there ain't nobody going to do that. Only one person, as I say, ever did. But James wants these Jews to realize you may not commit adultery, you may not commit murder, you may not do some of these biggies that you talk about under the law of Moses, but if you have this prejudice, if you're wanting to bind yourself under the law, you're guilty of the whole mess. Now, I'll put a footnote here. In Christianity, you commit a sin, you're what? Guilty of that sin. You haven't violated all of Christianity by the one sin. But the catch-22 of the law was, you're guilty of the whole thing. Now, I could be real sarcastic here, but Moses, by the way, is the only person that ever broke all 10 commandments at one time. Well, that took a while to sink in for a few of you.
No, I think not.
But
Probably about 25, 30 years ago, maybe. I was laughing.
But, yeah, there, Moses did it. But in the course of the time in the wilderness, just about everybody that was with him broke multiple commandments on those tablets. I mean,
Everybody did.
read the Psalms.
Everybody did. Because just like them, all short of glory.
Right. Read the Psalms, though. You rebelled. What does Moses tell them in the very beginning of the book of Deuteronomy? You've been rebellious since the day I knew you. Wow. This is a guy that put his whole life on the line for them. Stubborn people. Well, guess what? In the first century, the Jews were a whole lot better. They were still stubborn people. Verse 11. For he who said, do not commit adultery, also said, do not commit murder. 2 of the 10 commandments. Now, if you do not commit adultery, but do commit murder, you have become a transgressor of the law. You can't pick and choose and say, well, I like these commands, I'll do them. I don't like these commands, I won't throw them out. God didn't give the Jews that option. Now, why is this in the book of James? I think this is in the book of James in part for the same reason Paul in Romans, Paul in Galatians. Remember, James is one of the speakers in the Jerusalem conference about the Gentiles all together. So James is actually one of those that speaks up. And James is putting this in this book because there are still Judaizers running around. They're still wanting to bind the law of Moses on people, themselves as well as the Gentiles. Now I'm going to make a bold statement. I think a person can become a faithful Christian and know nothing about the Old Testament. I think they can. I enjoy studying the Old Testament. But I think there are people who are Christians who have no knowledge of the Old Testament whatsoever. And that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Because that died at the cross. Jesus crucified it. It's gone, over, done. So verse 12, James says, so speak and so act as those who are to be judged by the law of liberty. Okay? I think this is a reference to Christianity. Perfect law of liberty. Okay. Jesus frees us from two things. Number one, he freed us from the law. I don't have to keep that anymore. Number two, he freed us from sin. Law of liberty. Were the Jews ever free from the law? No. Were they ever free from sin? No. So, Paul can turn around then and call the law bondage. And that's how he refers to it. And I'm laboring this James and Paul because if you recall in the introduction, I said there's some people that want to make these two contradict. I want you to see they fit perfectly together with what they're saying. So Paul calls the law bondage. And it would be. And you're going to run around with 365 different pages with 632 laws on them, so you check those off every day. I'd lose my mind. So, we have a perfect law of liberty. Jews, don't bind yourself under that from which you have been free. Jews, sure don't bind on people that the law was never intended for. The law on them. So Romans, Galatians, James, Acts 15, all in perfect harmony with one another. So there we go. A perfect law of liberty. And then one last dig. For judgment will be merciless to the one who has shown no mercy. Mercy triumphs over judgment. So Judaizers, you keep pulling your glasses down on your nose and looking down on everybody, and everybody's not meeting your personal standard. If you show no mercy, God is going to show no mercy to you. Well, guess what, folks? I hope on the day of judgment, God shows me mercy. I sure don't want to go in there without me. And so James is telling these Jews, hey folks, you need to change your attitude in a hurry. You need to get over this. You need to quit judging everyone else because they don't meet your personal standard. In fact, why do Jews in general reject Jesus? He didn't meet what they expected the Messiah to meet. He met 350 prophecies in the Old Testament, which is what God expected the Messiah to meet, but he didn't meet the Jews' expectation of a Messiah. So, Jews have a problem. Okay. Now we totally shift gears. And I will say that Luther thought, beginning with verse 14, James had somebody come along that was a good medieval Catholic and added a whole lot of material to the book that didn't belong there. So let me set a background for Luther. Luther lived during the age of indulgences. Anybody have any idea what an indulgence is? An indulgence was literally something the Catholic Church was selling to build St. Peter's Basilica. Apparently they did really well on it, since St. Peter's Basilica is no slum building, to say the least. Now, an indulgence could be a couple of things. If I decided I wanted to go commit adultery with my neighbor's wife, and there was a chance my neighbor was going to catch me in the act and kill me, I could buy an indulgence, and I would already be forgiven of the sin if he killed me in the act. Or, and Tetzel, who is the one Luther despised so much, would go into town and put on a play, "Your ancestors are burning in purgatory." And the sound of a coin in the box will buy their way out of purgatory into heaven. Now, if you're a good, superstitious, medieval German, what are you going to do? You're going to drop a coin in the box to get your parents or grandparents or great-grandparents out of purgatory. By the way, I defy you to find the word purgatory in the Scripture. They made that up.
Or the concept.
Yeah.
Not just the word, but the concept is.
Any of it. So this is Luther's background. Now, sometimes indulgences brought other things as well. You had to do what was called penance. When Luther did penance, he literally, on his knees, had to crawl up the steps of a church building, reciting some kind of mumbo-jumbo on every step. So the Catholics had come up with meritorious works. The saints have stored a treasure chest of meritorious works in heaven for you. And you can earn these works and earn your way in heaven. Now, with that teaching, and realize that's what Luther was raised with. He was an Augustinian monk. He knew all this stuff. And of course, he reacted against it. And sometimes when we react, instead of stopping in the middle where God wants us to, we go swinging to the other extreme. So when he looked at meritorious works, Luther went all the way to the other side and went sola fide. And if you don't speak Latin, faith only. The rock bottom doctrine of modern Protestantism. Faith only. By the way, we're going to have the only time the words faith only appear side by side in Scripture in this context. And it's going to be in the negative, not by faith only. Okay, so there's where Luther came from. James is not teaching meritorious works. James is teaching exactly what Hebrews chapter 11 taught us about faith. So before we read this, let's go to Hebrews 11. And I'm going to give you a quick lesson on what the writer told us about faith there. Okay. Verse 4. By faith, Abel offered. Abel did something. His faith acted. He gave God the kind of sacrifice God expected. 7. By faith, Noah prepared an ark. He acted on what God had said for him to do. By faith, Sarah received ability to conceive. She acted upon what God had said. By the way, Abraham obeyed. Are you getting the point? Every one of the people listed in Hebrews chapter 11, their faith caused them to do something, what God wanted them to do. That's what James is talking about. Faith is not a concept. Faith breeds action. If we have real faith as a non-believer, what's the first thing we're going to do? We're going to couple that with baptism. That's going to be the natural response to that faith. We believe Christ died and was buried and rose again for us. We're going to be baptized in response to it. So this is the kind of works that James is talking about. In other words, action completes our faith. I can tell you I've got faith all day. But that doesn't mean a whole lot. But if you see me living by faith, walking by faith, 2 Corinthians 5:7, we're going to harmonize James and Paul again, then you know I have faith. Because you see it in action. That's what James is talking about. So he's saying, Jewish Christians, don't tell people you believe in Christ. Show people you believe in Christ. Act like you believe in Christ. Okay, an example. What use is it, my brethren, if someone says he has faith and has no works? Can that faith save him? Now, Luther would have said yes. But James disagrees with that. If a brother or sister is without clothing and in need of daily food, and one of you says to them, go in peace, be warmed and be filled, and yet you do not give them what is necessary for their body, what use is that? That's a rhetorical question. What use is it? Absolutely none. Man, I love you, brother. God bless you. Hope you find some food. Hope you get some clothes. See you later. Is that like the Levite and the priest that walked by the man on the road? Just exactly like the Levite and the priest. James is saying, don't be like them. Don't be like them. Okay. 17. Even so faith, if it has no works, is dead. Being, some versions say alone, mine says by itself. Okay. A better translation instead of dead is lifeless. I mean, that's the same thing, but the Greek is a little stronger than just dead. You're lifeless. You're just there. You're there. Faith without corresponding action is lifeless. It's no good. No good to you, no good to anybody else. Now, imagine in some denominational churches in 21st century America, there are preachers standing in the pulpit telling people to believe in Jesus who themselves do not believe in the virgin birth or the resurrection of Jesus from the dead. What kind of faith are they preaching? A dead faith? By the way, may I be so bold, since it's us chickens? One of the leading bishops in the Episcopal Church in the United States fits that description perfectly. Has denied the virgin birth and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. you get up there? I mean, how do you call yourself a minister of Christ if you deny the Christ you're supposed to be preaching?
Why do
Money. That's it. Money. That's what it's about. I mean, look at some of these cat daddies out there. 3, 4 houses, Mercedes Benz from garage to garage to garage, sailboats, everything else. Man, they're making the money. But they don't have the thing that they should have. Okay. Can't see the clock. Oh, we're over time, so we'll pause here. Okay, so faith without corresponding action is lifeless. It's the way it is. James doesn't want them, nor does he want us to be in that condition. Okay. Questions, comments, anything? Anybody wants to add tonight?
You wonder what the people who are listening, what they're doing on their own as far as reading scripture and study and.
I'm sure there are some that perhaps are. But I don't know if you've heard, the United Methodist Church is getting ready to have a vote to split into 2 denominational groups all over this gender mess going on in our country today. And I heard somebody defending that, and her comment was, well, people are reading the scripture, but they're interpreting it differently. Now, when something is called against nature, how do you interpret that other than God views it as unnatural? I mean, what other interpretation can you have? And they say, well, the only where you find that condemned is Old Testament. Sorry, folks. Romans chapter 1, 1 Corinthians chapter 6. I think both of those are in the New Testament. And so, what are these people not reading is my question. Obviously, they're not reading all the scriptures, for sure. And so, we live in a biblically ignorant world. We really do. I mean, and I will say this, in some of the denominations, there used to be people that were knowledgeable of the scriptures, they studied them, they knew them. That's not true today.
I think there probably are.
There's still some.
I think probably within the church, there were people that used to study and be very knowledgeable and that aren't today too.
I would agree with that 100%.
And the danger of that is being led astray by somebody
Oh, yeah.
that doesn't believe something and so doesn't teach on it or teaches the other way and nobody to question.
Oh, yeah.
No elders and not set up as the Lord intended it to be, and so all they have is a group somewhere away from them, and other than that, they're the boss of that church, and they can say what they want to.
Okay. That's autonomy. I can believe what I want. A congregation near Jennifer wants to appoint a man, an elder, whose oldest child is 7 years old. Now, it's not one of the qualifications of an elder. By the way, this person is in their early 30s. Maturity with children, believing children, not a 7-year-old child. But they need an elder They want an elder, so they're gonna throw something in there so they can have one. Well, brethren, shock and awe, it's better not to have an eldership than to have an unqualified. Well, they're just adding him to the other guy who, when their preacher announced he was going to leave, take some of the congregation with him and form a community church, he wasn't fired on the spot. He was allowed to continue for 3 months preaching in that pulpit. So that's the qualification of the other elder. Helen held that congregation. And my comment to Jennifer was, I wouldn't want to be in either one of those men's shoes on the day of judgment. Woe to them. And I said, by the way, if you talk to one of them, tell them to read Ezekiel 34. They might get a real vivid picture of about what is going to happen to them. But that's what's going on in the church today. So, I mean, we're choking to death on ignorance as well as the rest of the religious world. How